Polaroids. You either love them or you hate them, and in my case, I definitely have a very love-hate relationship with them. This week saw me travel down to the Midlands for a few days just to visit some family, nothing too serious, so I thought it'd be prime time to take some Polaroids while I was down there. I've had this adorable business edition 2 Polaroid camera for nearly a year now, which is terrifying, and I've only put 3 packs of film through it, so this would be my 4th pack of film. This is the 3rd installment of videos I've made on the Polaroid camera. The other 2 are pretty cool as well, you should definitely check them out. I absolutely love shooting Polaroids, but they are so pricey that I really have to kind of restrain from shooting them very often. And you know, when I do have a pack lying around, it has to be something special, so while I was at home, I knew I needed to find something good to shoot. And you know, while being in the Midlands, I was surrounded by fields, countryside, and pylons. So for my first night, just as the sun had started to set, I decided to go out and take some photos in some fields. I was walking down this trail and I absolutely loved how the broken light was shining through the bushes, almost kind of like how the fucking broken light is shining on me right now. I went into this knowing it was probably going to be a risky frame. Polaroid film doesn't work amazing with very high contrasty lighting situations, and this had a lot of light and a lot of dark areas. I set the exposure compensation on the Polaroid a bit into the dark, hoping I'd get at least something good, and then I put it in my coat pocket and I carried on travelling. It's been a few minutes since I took the last frame. Ooh! This is what it looks like at the moment. So as you can tell by that reaction, I wasn't entirely pleased by what happened. I don't entirely know what's going on here, whether this was a lens flare hitting the cheap plastic lens on the Polaroid that made this distortion down the side. It definitely isn't how I wanted it to look, but it's kind of cool, it's kind of funky. But you know, actually taking a second look at it, it might as well came out completely blank. This is shit. For my next frame, I turned my lens to something I really love taking photos of, that being pylons. If you're new to this channel, you probably haven't realized I have a hyperfixation with these little metallic guys standing tall in fields. Something about the contrast of them being in nature and then this metal man-made monolith just towering over all the trees, it really speaks to me. I love a bit of urban decay. Entering the field, I actually realized how much the sun had started to set, so I knew I had to kind of hurry up a little because I didn't have much time left. But you know, this image came out really nice. I think compositionally I could have been a bit closer, maybe it's a bit too open and wide. So I decided to head further into the field trying to get that better angle. I really like this frame. It came out so much better than I even could have expected it to. The sky is so well exposed with that kind of hazy blue darkness as the sun starts to set. You can make out in the horizon as well the kind of trees and the tower tops just making a really nice horizon to the image, and then lightly in the grass you can see some of the texture there still. Overall, I'm very happy with how this frame came out considering the lighting conditions. You know what, I'll say it, this might be a certified match-shoot banger. With my first 3 frames definitely being a mixed bag, I knew I really needed to cook with the last 5. And you know, while I was at home, I knew the perfect spot that I hadn't been to in ages to go to. There is this amazing abandoned farm just off the canal nearby where I live, and it is beautiful. I've been going there for the past 4 years now. Even before I was shooting film, I was going there to take images. You know, those dark days of shooting digital, I don't talk about that time anymore. Last time I went here was actually almost a year ago as well, where I shot a roll of Portra 400 NC, which was beautiful. You should definitely check out that video too. The main issue with this farm though is because it's abandoned and they are slowly renovating the place, they're removing more and more of the machinery that I really like there. So every time I end up going, more and more has been removed and it just feels emptier and emptier. So I'm slowly kind of documenting this like nostalgic place I really love to take images of change so rapidly. There is so much love in this abandoned farm, from trucks just being completely overgrown and the abandoned house which is crumbling to pieces now. I remember when you used to be able to go upstairs and that. I was really interested in this truck and I kind of actually realized I've never climbed into it and explored it from a kind of higher angle, so I thought, why not do that? And I know it doesn't look it from afar, but for context, this truck is massive. Considering I'm 6'3", maybe 6'4" on a good day, this thing was taller than me. I had to literally like pull myself into it, it was crazy. While up there, I was trying to find a good angle, kind of just gallivanting around, and I eventually settled on this view kind of through the window of the truck using fill and flash to compensate for the darkness. And you know, this frame came out really good as well. It's very nice exposed for, you know, the grass in the background and the truck interior. I'm really happy with how it came out. I've cooked again, I'll say it, I am cooking. Moving through the overgrown remains of the house, I headed to the courtyard where I knew one of my favourite trucks was. and thankfully it was still there. This beautiful yellow digger that is just standing against all this rubble and overgrowth is beautiful. However, since I was last here, it's definitely getting harder to find a good angle to take an image of this truck from, especially with all the overgrowth. And the Polaroid also has quite a tight lens, which doesn't help. I eventually settled on a kind of front framing look of the vehicle, and I'm going to be honest, the image didn't come out amazing. By no means do I hate it, and I definitely could have been a bit lower down while composing. You know, it's a nice image, but it's just not doing the justice I wanted it to do. After that, I headed to the main building, climbing through a broken window. The doorway that you used to be able to go through is completely overgrown with bushes now, which is crazy, and going into the remains of the building, it is just filled with rubble and bricks. I absolutely loved how it looked in here, and I ended up settling for a composition that was kind of looking up at the ceiling, getting a bit of the sky and the destroyed house in it. And this is probably one of the best images I've taken in this video. I really like it. I think it has just a bit of everything I like. You know, the sky's very well exposed for. You've got a bit of greenery in the trees on the outside, and then the rubble and the destroyed building and the decay. It's just, it all comes together really nicely in the square format. There's definitely a lot of layering going on in the image as well, which is just an added bonus. You know, it's a good image. I'm cooking again here. Moving on to the next frame, I also remembered there was a red truck that I shot on Porsche 400 NC as well, and I remember really liking how that looked, so I headed there again. Thankfully, the truck was still there, and it had got even more overgrown, but I definitely went in a bit too quickly and just took an image without thinking about the composition, because this one doesn't look very good at all. I think it's the angle not doing it justice. It feels like a very flat image when I should have taken it from more of a perspective where you could see more of the detail and damage. It's an alright image, don't get me wrong, but like, it's not amazing. At this point, I only had one frame left on the camera, and I kind of knew what I wanted the last frame to be. For context, during my A-levels, I came to this farm and also took my finals here, and there was this one yellow truck that stood all the way out in the field away from all the others that I fell in love with, and it ended up being one of my main A-level finals, and I really like how that turned out. I think it's a mix of the truck, the horizon, the empty field, and also the growth going up into the truck. It all just comes together in a really nice image. However, since taking this frame, the trees have obviously kept growing, and because no one's maintaining it, it's slowly becoming harder and harder to find a good composition with this truck. This was it in August 2022, shot on Kodak Gold, which was probably the last time I took an image of it properly, and it looks very nice in this, but this is it now. As you can see, the trucks are pretty much engulfing the whole thing, and it looks really cool, but when you know the film you're shooting on, it might not be able to pick up the details as well as maybe a digital camera. You're kind of more negligent to what images you take. I went around for a few minutes just trying to see different angles and different ways I could compose this image, and I got weirdly emotional while doing it. It doesn't feel like 2 years ago I was stood in the same place taking an image on my TLR hoping it would come out well for my A-level finals, and now I'm going into my third year of university. Oh god, that's terrifying. Oh my god. After a while, I kind of just accepted I'm not going to be able to take a good image of it, so I decided to leave it. And I settled on a truck that was about equally still as cool looking in my opinion. However, the fucking sun decided to go behind some clouds, and I literally waited for 5 minutes hoping it would come back out, and it didn't. And I knew the moment I took that frame, while it was cloudy, the sun would come out again. And I took the frame, and it looks alright, and then the fucking sun came out. God, the sun came out literally just after I'd taken the frame, which was really annoying. But anyway, the frame did come out quite nice anyway. And that was it. All 8 frames already taken. You know, it goes by really quick when you realise how little you actually get from Polaroid film. I left the farm again, bidding farewell to this nostalgic place, hoping that one day we'd cross paths again, which I'm sure I will end up going there again this year. Normally in my Polaroid videos, I kind of end them with a bit of alternate process photography. For example, in my last video with my black and white portraits, I did some really funky alternate process stuff and made them look really cool. You can check them out on my Instagram, linked in the description below if you want to see that. But this time, I think I'm going to just keep the Polaroids as they are for now, mainly because I think they look really nice. Although, knowing me, I'm gonna wait a month and probably be like, I need to damage these. But for now, you know, I will just sit with them for a little while, and if you do want to see what I do with them, again, Instagram in the description at Matthew_C41. I post on it pretty regularly and you get to keep up to date with the videos I'm making. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like and subscribe. It helps me know what people are interested in and what you want to see more of. I've been uploading weekly for nearly 3 months now, so definitely keep watching as there's more to come. Thank you for watching me ramble as always. Matt out. I didn't even cover the camera. I didn't even cover the fucking lens. I just went like that. It's too big. It's actually too big to... The fucking wide angle lens is too big for me to cover complete. What? That's crazy.